Welcome to the Short Rod Show. You're talking with Ben.
And you got Brett.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. We are on Season 2, Episode 20.
2-0,
The big
man.
2-0.
Yeah.
20 weeks through this ice season. We've been putting out episodes here every Sunday on the Short Rod Show.
It seems like it went a lot faster than what it did.
Yeah, this season definitely
Like it feels like we just got back from Minnesota.
Yeah, and I think part of that is because the season just went downhill real quick after the big freeze.
It was like peaking, and then it just fell off a cliff.
Yep. Kind of disappointing, but...
I drove past that D-Mac Ankeny pond today, and it was wide open.
Yeah.
There's not a lick of ice out there.
I saw a couple kids bass fishing a little HOA pond the other day. 70 degrees out, whatever it is now.
Yeah. Oh, it's super nice.
Yep. Not too bad for March, but... Yeah, today we got a little bit of a different episode for you guys.
I'm excited about it. It was good.
Turned out really nice. If you guys are at all, listening to other podcasts, I'm sure you are. You've heard of these guys. They have a real legitimate ice fishing podcast. They're one of the original ice fishing podcasts
I'd say they are the
out
original.
there. Yep.
Jeff and Jason, Hardwater Fishing Show.
Yep,
Those
real
guys
cool.
crushing it.
So yeah, we sat down and had a good discussion with them, and they asked us a bunch of questions. We asked them a few questions on kind of what they're all about.
Yeah, they're definitely more structured than we are. Like, there's a difference between sitting and chatting over Zoom, and I can look Ben in the eye and have a conversation.
Yeah.
But they were definitely, I think they were more structured and set up over the Zoom deal where they had the questions. They were ready to go, ready to roll, where I feel like if we were in that same position, we would have stumbled a little bit. But those guys were pros.
Yep. Yeah, it turned out really good. So encourage you guys, go over, check out their podcast. They're hosted by Podbean too. That's kind of what led us into getting into Podbean, actually, and getting hosted by them. But you can find them all over all your podcasting platforms, the Hardwater Fishing Show.
Well, and they got merch even.
Yes. Shoot, we should have asked them about that.
Should have asked them for a hoodie. Well, maybe they'll hear this, and we can ask them for, if Jeff or Jason's listening, we get a hoodie.
They got the merch, so that's how legit they are.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. But yeah, so they're two guys that one lives in Minnesota, one lives in Iowa, and they record all throughout the ice season too. That's actually their 50th episode.
Yeah, so, that's pretty sweet.
Yep.
Man, we're gaining on them quick.
Quite the accomplishment. Well, we're gonna both fall off a cliff here in the next couple weeks, so and go back down. But yeah, pretty cool episode. So
yeah, they were good dudes. It was a good chat.
Yep.
What I really like about those matchups and chatting with those folks, other podcasts, is just how they're going about it. And you learn so much on the podcasting end, not necessarily the fishing stuff, but how you're going about it. How is it working for you? What's going on? And I think that just helps make us better. Both doing it with them and then those Beer Fish Fanatic guys, I think that makes us better on our end also.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And just talking fishing and getting we want to get our two audiences together, and get some crossover there too. So
I'm sure there already is plenty. There's not that many ice fishing podcasts out there.
Yeah. You'd be surprised. There's always people out there.
I'm sure there's a few diehard folks that just listen to Shack Talk, but yeah.
I'm sorry, we can't help you. They're not even listening to this, so that's fine. That's for sure. But yeah, it turned out really, really cool. And then we'll have to get out on the ice with them in the next year, next season.
How it's done.
Get on some fish. That'll be cool. Awesome. Well, that's coming up next on
the Short Rod Show.
Well, tonight we have Ben and Brett on from the Short Rod Show. We've been wanting to do a crossover show with these guys since they came on the scene a couple of years ago. And we're actually excited because they tend to fish, I think, a lot more than we do. And maybe they can actually give us some good advice that our listeners can use. And I have a sneaking suspicion that we have some crossover listeners. So welcome, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, really excited to be on. We've been, as Ben mentioned before we kind of started rolling here, we've been longtime listeners of the Hardwater Fishing Show.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit too. The podcasts that are out there, ours are a very similar podcasts in a lot of ways where we just tell it like it is. We're just two guys that are friends and enjoy talking ice fishing. So I'm sure there's people that listen across both of them too, but probably some listeners that have no idea about either. So thought it'd be cool to get together with you guys. So we appreciate the opportunity. This is awesome. Chat fishing.
Oh, it's always good anytime. And that's, part of why we started doing our podcast years ago is it gave us an excuse to get together and to talk fishing. You guys, looking at this Zoom we're on, you guys are actually in the same room.
Yeah, so we live kind of across town from each other, which is pretty helpful. So when you talk about getting out and going fishing together, that definitely helps.
That helps. And I think podcast wise, it just helps being in the same room, because then you don't have this delays over Zooms, and you don't have, you know, you can definitely read each other's body language and kind of see what's going on.
Yeah, we're pretty fortunate to be able to let our wives let us get together once a week and in the name of the podcast and record. So
yeah, we do a lot of that.
Yep.
Do it for the podcast, you know.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep. Got to go out fishing. It's for the podcast.
Yeah,
gotta buy this gear. It's for the podcast.
You ask how we get out fishing so often. That's exactly it. I just say, hey, we're gonna go record. We got to go do something for the podcast.
Can't just talk about that fishing trip we went on 2 weeks ago. We need a new fishing trip to talk about.
Yep, exactly.
Jeff, do you have the questions up? Because
I do.
I gotta find them.
Yeah. So so we put a few questions together, and I'm sure we'll veer off of them, but we'll start out with the really hard one. You know, both of you, if you want to answer, what your favorite fish to catch is. Like, what is the thing you go to? If it's like, I'm going after my favorite thing, what is that fish?
I'll let Ben take that first.
Well, our listeners kind of know I'm a crappie guy, and I started out crappie fishing, and it sucks you right in. You know, there's always something new to learn about, you know, crappie behavior and habitat and where to find them. It's fun once you get on a school of them. You can catch just a wide variety of sizes of fish. Like I get entertained, you know, pulling in a 6-inch fish or a 14, 15-inch fish. So yeah, I'm a crappie guy for sure.
Now I think I saw you got the Panoptic rig going.
Yeah,
I know
so
that's
yeah. So Brett graciously guides me
okay.
out on the water towards the schools of crappies now.
Yep.
It's nice.
That has been helpful. It's not like you just scan around and you just see balloons of fish all over the place. I mean, you actually need to go actively find them still, but it does help zero them in pretty quick.
Yeah.
Jason pointed out to me this year, he's like, you know, if you wouldn't have spent so much on your summer fishing, you could have got a Panoptics, but instead
he overcommitted on his summer fishing.
Yep. You got to have a balanced budget.
That's right. That's right.
I don't have any budget, so
I'm definitely gonna go with the channel catfish. Probably would be my favorite one to go through. It's definitely a little off the beaten path.
The cat daddy. That's what we call Brett.
Yeah, cat daddy.
Sweet.
So
what? Yep.
Tell us about those. Sorry.
Oh yeah. No, it's interesting. Because in the wintertime, they'll really kind of stack up on top of each other in a real small area. So if you could find them, you could pretty much bank on, you know, a nice little honey hole all season long within the same general area. But that could be the difficult part, is finding them. But down around here, I mean, aside from catching bluegills and crappies, and, you know, catfish are about the biggest fish that you can consistently catch.
Mm-hmm.
And really, give your schoolie rod a good run for its money.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Are you fishing them then on a river edge, or like Big Creek or something like that?
Yeah, mostly some sort of dammed up sort of pond or lake or some reservoir sort of situation. They're not necessarily always on the edge of the creek channel. I'd say look for a steep drop off, especially if you can find some wood deeper, 20 plus foot. That usually seems to hold a few also.
Cool.
I just got my mind. I mean, I think about like, oh, we fish for a lot of things. We've been doing this for a long time.
Yep.
I have never caught nor fished for a channel cat in my entire life. So this sounds like a new mission.
Yep.
A 20 plus inch channel cat will give you a run for your money. Just as much as, I don't know, any walleye that you would have caught anyways.
Yep.
And
in the summertime too. I mean, you can't beat going out catching channels.
Yeah.
Just casting, reeling them in.
Then they bite on the same thing that anything else does. A couple wax worms on a spoon. They'll come munch on that.
Yep.
So and this is going to be my ignorance, and I'll stop asking questions. I'm just excited
no.
when I learn about new fish. But so channel cat, like I really only have ever caught like catfish, but honestly, mostly bullheads. Like, and I don't know if they all go into the same category. I'm sure, I know they're not, but like
things with whiskers.
Things with whiskers for 500. Yeah. So no, this sounds awesome. I know they get big and they fight hard. So do you keep these beasts too and eat them up, or?
Oh yeah. I don't keep the real big ones. You know, if I'm pulling a 30 plus incher, I'll probably put that one back. But I'd say 15 to 22 inch I'd keep that.
Yep.
Sweet.
Yeah, and they're all over in the local ponds around here too.
Yeah.
Which is cool. It's one of the stocked species in the Metro Des Moines area ponds. So there's a pretty decent, getting to be a good population of them in a few.
That's
of the
really where
lakes
some
we
of our
fish.
secret hot bites are around town here. Like you can rely on a few spots where they're just stacked up year over year.
So I know you guys talk about the schoolies all the time, and I was just listening to one of your episodes recently when you're talking about the big schoolie. There was like a bigger schoolie rod,
the 40-inch mag dog.
The mag dog.
Yeah.
So is this do you use a schoolie all the time, or is that just kind of like one of those like token things that you drag around with you?
No, that's all I have. I've got 6 of them.
Wow.
And that's all I run. I've got two of the 12-inch ones. I think they're 12 inchers.
Yeah, pretty short.
3 26 inchers, and then Ben got me the 40-inch one.
Yeah, they're hard to find.
A couple weeks ago. Yeah, those I didn't know they even made them.
Yeah.
And you finally it took the 40-inch schoolie to get some bend in the rod. The other ones are pool sticks.
Sure. Okay.
But that 40-inch one, you could really put some bend in it, and it's got some play to it.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So why the schoolies then?
It's just something I've always grown up with. Buddies all use them from back home, and where I grew up, southeastern Iowa, you'd be lucky to get 3-4 weeks of ice fishing. So I mean, investing in a $100 rod didn't seem to make any sense when you're only fishing for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But then also, I like that light bobber tip on the end. You'll detect any bite that's going to happen with that. So yeah, cool. There's just a combination of those things. Yeah.
Cool. So does your schoolie then have that little spring bobber that is that what you mean? Like that goes over the top? Okay. Yep. Gotcha. Yep. Very cool. All right.
And then there's some modifications that guys do to them. You could get a bigger handle to put on them, and they'll put some weather stripping on the inside of the reel so you can get a larger crank when you crank them in. Sure. Yeah. There's all sorts of things folks do to those things.
Or mount them on a nice custom rod.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we had Brady Bach a couple of weeks ago on. And he mounted his onto a bull. He mounted a schoolie reel onto his bullwhip.
A bullwhip, and those are like what, $150, $200 rods or something.
$7 reel he put on her.
Yep.
That's awesome. Yep. Hey, if it works, it works.
And then he sent us a big picture of crappies that he caught with it.
Awesome.
It was cool.
Yep. Very cool. So next one is kind of, and this we might have already talked about this. I don't know, but what is the favorite piece of gear each one of you bought in the last 2 years?
Ooh, 2 years.
Mine's gonna be obvious, but I'll let Ben run first.
That's why I was thinking, Brett. I'm like, we kind of might have covered this, but
yeah. Last 2 years. See, so I kind of got into ice fishing really hard, and where I started coming up, having a little bit more resources to spend my money on good gear. And we talked a little bit before the show, but I went through that stage where I was just buying crappy gear, just whatever I could find at Fleet Farm or one of the Facebook Marketplace, all that kind of stuff. Craigslist and used stuff. So yeah, within the last couple so I'd say like 4 years ago, I had a huge plateau. I just was like, yep, I'm just going to go all in, spend all the money that I need to get everything that I want. So I got a nice shelter and auger and all that stuff. In the last 2 years though, we're just talking rods, the custom rod. That's been the best purchase for me, because that is my go-to, the tuned up custom bullwhip. That, I'll give them a plug. It's a great rod just for compared to what I was fishing before, right? The cheap Walmart Fraybill combos and that kind of stuff. So that's my go-to. Number 2, though, followed closely by that would be I got some Norfin Klondike boots this year, and they are legit.
I really thought that was gonna be your number 1.
Yeah, that's real close, because like having warm feet, everybody knows that'll just ruin your day.
And they're not sweating
if you get cold feet. The boots are really light, waterproof. Like they got a little spike on the end if you get real slippery out and you forget your other spikes. They're pretty sweet. So those are my top 2.
I have those same boots.
Do you like them?
Oh yeah, love them. Bought them a couple years ago. They got the little flip down cleat.
Yeah.
I just got back here a couple weeks ago from the Boundary Waters. We were up there for 4 days, wore them every day for fishing up there.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
You can pull the liners out, dry them out. I added just one little piece of felt footbed liner on the bottom
Mhm.
of mine just to help with some of the longer days. But yeah, they're great boots.
They're
Don't get 'em-
unbelievably light.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like unbelievably light.
Yeah. Yeah, they're
No,
great.
that's cool. Do you wash your liners at all? I haven't tried that yet, but I wasn't sure if
I
they're
haven't.
made to be washed or not.
No, I haven't. Nope.
Yep. All right, we'll find out. I'll let you know how it goes.
Jason, you don't strike me as the wash your liner kind
Well,
of guy.
unless you're, you kind of hold the boot on and you're like, whoa. But what I will tell you is I contacted the local, the distributor here in the United States looking for a second set of liners. Because on this trip I went on, I was concerned about if I got them wet to
Sure.
be able to dry them. And I just, thought, hey, just having a second liner would be the way to go. And they
Mhm.
don't ship them to the United States at this point. So, and I emailed the company themselves directly, and they never responded. So, so if you wreck them, you may have to go with some sort of other liner for that boot. Just
Yeah.
Or buy a new
FYI.
boot, I guess.
Or buy. Well, yeah. So can we back up to the rod a little bit for people
Oh,
that
yeah,
don't
sure.
know what that rod is? Can you kind of walk us through like the action, how
Yeah.
heavy, what's your deal?
So I did a lot of research on what kind of upgraded rod that I was in the market for, and I'm a big pan fisherman, crappie fisherman, occasional bass, occasional catfish, whatever. So I didn't need something with a real heavy backbone, but I still wanted something that could handle a walleye or any other bigger fish, I guess. Just take me longer to get it in, but the tuned up custom bullwhip, it comes in a couple different lengths. I have a 32-inch, and it's just the stock, go to Shields and buy it off the shelf kind of rod. There's nothing real fancy about it being custom other than the blank is custom. But
Well, you customized your first one when you dropped it.
yeah, I customized that.
Oh no!
That was a bad deal. That was a heartbreaker there.
Ooh.
But yeah, I got the split grip, the EVA grip, gives you a little extra feel to it. And then it is more like a power noodle rod. So
Okay.
it's got a nice noodle tip. The tip acts as your bite detector, spring bobber type springy tip, but then goes right into a pretty hefty backbone to get horse and fish in. And it's held up really well getting fishing. It just can't withstand some downward force onto the ice, just falling out of a backpack. That's the only thing it doesn't handle. Just breaks in half at that point. So,
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's a tough day.
but tuned up will do for $50. If you send in all the parts of that rod, they'll send you a new one. So
At least you have
that
the
actually,
parts.
Yep.
it's kind of like their cost of it or whatever, just,
Mhm.
hey, sorry, you broke your rod.
First-hand
Here's
knowledge of
another one.
that.
So yeah, that's pretty cool. So
I,
now I
I've
have two
actually,
of them.
I've actually seen the tuned up custom rod shop. I know where it is.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I've never been in there, but there's a car cruise. It goes in front of the Coon Rapids Boulevard where they're located. So I'm like, oh, there's a custom rod place right there as I'm cruising by.
Nice.
That's awesome.
So welcome to Jason's. Like, yep, this is how Jeff goes on a tangent. Left, right,
No, that's
whatever.
That's good. Getting some good stuff. Now.
That's usually where we end up on is on some sort of tangent.
Mhm.
Well, cool. And to get back to the boots, the one thing I will tell you is if you climb on the top of somebody's wheelhouse, make sure to put the spike
Put
down.
the little thingy up.
We were clearing ice off my ice shack, and I'm like, Jason, you put your spikes down, right? He's like, yeah, I'm good. I'm like, okay, good, because otherwise it's gonna be raining inside.
Little holes.
Yeah, they
Oh.
are sharp.
Yeah, don't walk on your wife's linoleum with them on either.
Oh, geez.
There are some, you have to be mindful of the little spikes, but they're nice, because you don't have to mess with the extra, like the yak tracks or the cleats or nothing. So
Yep.
very cool.
And
Great
Jason
minds
saw me.
think alike, huh?
That's right.
There you
Jason
go.
saw
I
me
like
wipe out hardcore this year on Mille Lacs.
I thought I was going to have to dig a hole and bury him.
Oh, geez.
Woo! Yeah, we went pretty good. Well, so kind of the next thing I want to talk about
Well,
was
we got to go through Brett's favorite.
Yeah.
oh
Brett.
gosh, we totally got
Totally forgot
distracted.
about it. He's
Brett,
been
I'm
itching
totally
for
sorry. Let's
years
go.
to tell
Oh,
us
no
about
problem.
this.
Oh my gosh.
It's giving me time to think about other options besides the Panoptics. That was the best purchase that I've had in the last 2 years. I'd say, yeah. So the Panoptics, I think that it's an expensive sucker. So it better put you on some fish, and it definitely does if once you figure out what you're looking at and how it works. But But the second best thing that I think I've purchased is that clam plate with a laser drill auger.
Yeah.
Because before I was running a chipper blade and that thing sucked.
Yeah.
Chipper, Strike Master.
Yep.
Gas auger.
Oh,
Going from that to the clam plate with a drill and electric, and that thing's slick.
Yeah. So we have almost identical setups now, and we can rip holes.
Yep.
All day long. We did break the drill this year.
Yeah.
Oh,
After running for 6 years on my clam plate, 6 seasons. So.
That was our most famous Facebook post we've ever had.
Yeah.
Is taking one picture of Ben's broken drill and just let the internet the ice fishing community just ran with it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, should have bought Milwaukee, yada, yada, yada.
Always.
Milwaukee guys get in there.
And then the very next day, somebody posted a Milwaukee, the chuck was broken off, and every other post was, should have bought a DeWalt, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. No matter what you buy, the other team's gonna chime in.
Yeah, they're not made they work great on the ice, but they're definitely not built for the ice sort of situation.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm heading that way next year. I bought the Eskimo Power Bit this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just picked up on sale at DeWalt drills. So next year for early ice, at least I'll start. My God, the weight difference compared to my Eskimo propane, it's just, I think I'm going to like it.
Yeah.
Should have bought a Milwaukee. Should have got a Milwaukee, Jay.
Well, rigid. Should have got a rigid.
Oh,
Yeah,
rigid.
No one said anything bad about those.
Not enough people have those, so you don't hear anything bad about them.
Price sells. I think whatever you can get the cheapest.
Yep. But yeah, you're going to love just going up to a hole and just pulling the trigger and going. Like you don't have to starting something. Oh, I need to go drill 20 holes to make it worthwhile.
Yeah.
That I just got this thing started. You know, you just go up, pull the trigger and go.
I almost like perk up when I hear someone start a gas engine anymore.
Oh,
like I'm like, somebody's still running those things.
Oh yeah.
You know, that is the one advantage of the propane though, is there's no warm up. That's one thing I've liked about the propane. You don't have that. You one pull, it starts, you drill your hole, shut it off. It's the weight for me that's the.
Earlier this year, we went up to the Brainerd area to go fishing, like early ice, and that one lake we got on, some guy told us to go fish a pond later in the afternoon. Like, all right, yeah, we'll go try that. Yeah. And that's when we knew we were on a community hole. Is when everyone else had gas augers out there. Like there was no traveling in. There's none of that. It was all like just we fish this spot and that's all we fish.
Yeah.
So that guy did give us a legit community hole.
Yeah.
I really thought he was just sending us off into the boonies with the logging road we had to go down. That was however many miles. And
that was cool.
Yeah.
No, you're right though. I mean, I hear when I'm out there now, when you hear a gas auger crack off, you're like, whoa, what's that?
Yeah.
What's going on? I mean, they're not very common anymore. And you hear them because you can hear it from like a mile away when somebody starts those things up.
Yeah.
So,
so
they're still effective, but
that's another thing that I've routing back to the Panoptic a little bit is the ice noise, like making so much noise on the ice. You never really realized it because you just made the noise and you couldn't tell what was going on, but shooting your beam under the ice and seeing where people are digging and what's going on, you can really see those fish move around and stuff. Or when I go to drill a hole and I see the fish scatter, and then trying to get back on them or whatever. But it's really something I think I'll be pondering on over the summer.
Yeah, so really eating you up.
Do you see with your electric too? They still run away.
Oh yeah, they'll move even when you're walking over there.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, cleats are kind of That's a no.
Ben had some really aggressive cleats, and I was like, dude, you gotta stop wearing those things. I mean, he never fell. I've never seen him slip or fall, but they were making too much noise and they were just spooking fish off.
Yep.
Wow.
So when Jeff's in his ice shack watching movies, eating Doritos, do you think that could impact the fishing?
Well, it depends if the Dorito dust is getting down the hole or not.
Kind of falling down.
Yep.
That might bring him in.
Chum in the water.
Yeah.
I actually, the biggest thing I worry about is that generator. I feel like that's loud, but I don't know. It is what it is. So, yeah, we actually moved my last weekend up in Mille Lacs. We were kind of by a bunch of people, and we moved away from some people just because we wanted to get away from the noise. So
give me I'll interview you for a second.
Yeah.
Give me a rundown on kind of you running your ice house then, because that's something I've never really done. So when you're on Mille Lacs, are you just set that up and it's just set there for the year, or you're just kind of like moving around trying to follow fish, or like you said, you're trying to get away from people, or what's your technique to setting up an ice house like that?
Yeah. So, and Jay's been up there with me a little bit too. So this is my second full year I've been on Mille Lacs. The year before, the first year I had it, we kind of just went all over the place. But I will leave it out there on the ice. But typically, if I'm not catching fish, I will move. But I won't move like every 15 minutes, right? I mean, like it's pretty portable. I mean, with two guys, you can probably move from spot to spot in maybe an hour. Like if you're just going to go one place to another.
Well, that's not so bad.
But there's some limitations, right? So it depends on which snow's out there. I don't have a plow and everything. We're out of the Red Door Resort is where I go out of in Mille Lacs, and they're super great, right? Like you can call them up and say, hey, I want to move. Can you plow me a spot? Right. But then that takes time and there's some friction there too. But as Jason's seen, it's no fun to get stuck out there either. So
no,
well, he drives like I don't know, what is it, a Prius? No, that's me.
A Prius. You drive a Prius. Come on. Yeah. But yeah, it's I mean, it doesn't take a ton to get stuck. I mean, this last weekend I got stuck. Dave Northwoods Dave, my buddy Dave, he was in front of me and he's got like a Nissan Titan pickup. And so he blew through the snowbank and I'm pulling my shack and I'm on my SUV and I'm like, oh no, we're done.
Oh no.
Like, so I'm like, so I buried it. And when I get out and the snowbank is like halfway up the doors, you're like,
oh geez,
that was too. But yeah, so to get back to your question though, I would say I will move it when I'm not catching fish on a daily basis, but probably not like multiple times per day. So like if I go out for the weekend, if I've been catching fish in a spot, I'll just leave it there, right? I mean, on Sunday when I go home, it'll just sit there, and then the next Monday or next week, if I come back up, I just fish that same spot, right?
Yeah.
But if I've gone a whole day and haven't caught a fish, like if I get up there on Friday and then the rattle reels don't go overnight and we didn't catch anything, then it's time to move, right? You need to find it.
He doesn't move enough. He gets too comfortable. He has to take his Crocs off and put
dang
on.
Yeah. But that's usually how it works. And I remember we had Kurt on, who's from a guide out in Lake of the Woods, and he kind of described that too. And I think, he would say, I will try a spot for an evening. If that doesn't work, I'll move. But, Mille Lacs, I feel like is a lot like that too, where the fish are there, right? They're out there. Typically, especially mid to late season, it's not like you're going to hit the mother load of here's 100 fish just waiting to be caught, right? Like, I mean, you catch one or two, here and there. By the time you get your wheelhouse out, you're not going to, you can work hard and move, but it doesn't always mean you're going to get results. So you really just want to find a spot that you feel successful at, a spot where you think you've either caught fish before or think looks good. And it's kind of a waiting game, usually in a wheelhouse kind of situation. If I'm talking early ice where I'm not out there with my wheelhouse, we'll fish first break and we'll move all over the place. But I would say once a day, is probably, you can do more often than that, but honestly, sometimes I'm fishing by myself and then it's a lot more work. So
well, then you don't end up doing much fishing either when you're moving that much.
Right. But we caught some really nice fish up there this year. We caught some, I think 26 was maybe the biggest one we got, but
cool.
Bunch in the 20s. This year on Mille Lacs, there's kind of a class up there where about 19 to 20, I would say in the last year, those were probably 80% of the fish I've caught up there, or that 19 to 20 range.
Well, that's not bad.
No. So, and I caught a keeper this year, which is kind of rare up there because they have a lot of slot limits.
You can catch 19 to 20s, but you can't keep them.
Yeah, you can't keep them. Yeah, no.
Picture and
but I still like catching fish. I would much rather catch them than throw them back. So that's kind of the program. I mean, it takes, and Jason's done it with it. You put the car there, you drag down the front, you drag down the sides, you drill some holes, and you're fishing. So
nice.
Yeah. It's a style. Every fishing has a style, right? Like early ice or late ice, that's not what you're going to be doing. But in that mid season, you want to go camping. I can bring the kids. I had like probably 8 different people fishing with me this year, and not at the same time. But it's nice because you can get the people who maybe they're not the extreme fishermen, right? They want to come up and I had a friend come up and he'd never been ice fishing before. it's a lot easier to sit in my ice shack and watch a movie and fish and catch a couple fish than it is, hey, we're going to walk out and freeze our butts off.
You're
and
ruining
be
them.
portable.
You got to hard them in.
Yep.
I know,
The hard way.
Yeah, otherwise
so-
you end up with all these softies trying to ice fish.
Yeah. So that's why I like it. But yeah, that's kind of the wheelhouse life.
Yep.
And it's a big community up there. There's when you drive up there when it's going, just thousands and thousands of ice shacks out there.
Really?
Like, you see lights as far as you can see. Like when you're out there, you just see. Now, it's not the whole lake because every resort kind of has a road system, and that's mostly what you're seeing. But yeah, you'll see.
So folks aren't going in on like public ramps or something like that.
You can. So what I have found is that for me, it is very important to have a support system. I don't have a plow. I don't have a F350 Super Duty that I can blow through anything, right? Yep. It's super easy to get in trouble, either get stuck or have problems or, have mechanical things. I really like the support of having a resort. Now, that's not what everybody does, but for me, I know, the resort I'm at, they're really good. Like we were out ice fishing when it was 35 below and I had a lot of problems that night. And I called them and the plow truck came out and jumped my car. Right.
Nice.
And they're pretty understanding about that. So you can go, kind of off-road and do your own thing. I just think you got to have a lot more backups for your backups. Yeah. I mean, and everybody's different, but that's just how I feel like, especially if I'm out there, if I go up there by myself, which happens sometimes, I like having that support of, I can call somebody if I really get into trouble.
And then do they help you get on fish too? Or like you say there, kind of what area should I be parking my shack on or what am I looking for?
Yeah. I mean, you're a little limited. Obviously they plow a road system, right? And it's miles of roads. So you can go pretty big ways, but I honestly, almost every time I go up there, I'll stop in at the desk, and say, hey, what's going on? Where are they biting? What, cause they're on the lake all day long, pulling people out. They hear from people. So, like this year, one time they're like, oh, we're catching them out in this flat, and we caught some out there. And then one time I'm like, well, where should I go? And they're like, you know what? There's lots of cracks out there. There's lots of water. I bet you Second Break is a great place to go this weekend. I'm like, sounds perfect. Let's go to Second Break. I don't want to get stuck in the water. So,
So they're more of an ice condition sort of resource.
Yep. But they'll tell you like earlier in the spring, they were like, or in the fall, they were like, hey, I can't stop catching tubulies. It's so annoying. I'm like, well, that could be fun. I don't care. But they're like, no, believe me, I'm tired of catching them. But yeah,
I always find it interesting, like in the true kind of ice belt area, the differences between ice fishing kind of in your area and doing that stuff versus kind of where we're at and south of that.
Yeah.
Cause prior to moving to even Des Moines, I didn't even know like snow on top of the ice and creating a slush problem was a thing. Like the most we'd be fishing on is 5 or 6 inches of ice.
Right.
And so you're just on glare ice all season long and it's, glorious.
Yes.
Yeah. Slush is not glorious.
No, it's not.
My goodness.
No, we've buried snowmobiles. Jason found this out. Early on, one of our early ice fish, this was like a long time ago. We had snowmobiles and Jason took one and buried it in a snowbank, like just buried it in like a 10-foot snowbank. And I'm probably not exaggerating.
I didn't know they weren't for snow. It's the first time I'd ever ridden one. And so up at my cabin, our family cabin up by Duluth, we have a hill that comes off and the snow collects there and it's super deep. And I'm like, sweet, I got a snowmobile. And then it just buried itself down that hillside. And Sean our buddy Oli looks at me and goes, you can't take them in deep snow. I'm like, it's a snowmobile.
Yeah.
And then that year we also buried it in slush, and apparently you shouldn't let them freeze overnight either, because that's a lot of fun. Yeah, things you learn.
Ben's found that out.
Yeah, we had an experience with the snowmobile, which I didn't think slush was that big of a deal either till we were up kind of around, that north central Minnesota area.
Iowa folks going north getting themselves in trouble.
And that was
no doubt.
Was it 2019, winter of 2019, or it just was like 3 feet of snow on top of, some ice, not a great amount, but as soon as you pop a hole, just water comes out, like, takes all the pressure off. and then you're just covered in like a 20-foot swath of slush,
Yep.
a foot and a half, 2 foot deep. And yeah, snowmobiles do not get through that at all. So
We had that, Jeff, that one year up at the cabin up at Stone when we're sitting there playing cards in this old canvas shack that had a wood floor. We're playing cards. And this one guy caught a northern, and we had so much water in the bottom of that shack, it swam around the table and then went down the other hole. Because the lake, it floods because of all the slush and the snow. Yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah, it's a thing with wheelhouses too. Like I put mine up on blocks more often this year than I usually have because a lot of times I just drop it on the ice. But I earlier this year I brought mine out there once, and the guy's like, "I've got 4 inches of water into my shack." I'm like, "Oh, blocks it is."
Oh, geez.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it definitely makes a mess. So I got another question I can ask you guys. What's your like kind of favorite moment? I know this is your second season, and you guys have almost as many episodes as we do. This is actually our 50th episode this time.
Oh,
so.
Congratulations!
I know.
Good deal.
But since you guys have started, what's kind of your favorite moment or your top episode that you guys have over the first 2 seasons here?
I'm gonna let Ben go first again, so I can think.
Oh yeah. So last season we just had a really good episode taking somebody new out ice fishing. We actually were out on a local pond. We're recording right out there in the shelter. And Brett just all day was like, "Man, you're gonna love tonight's episode. I got
it was killer.
This gem of a fact for you that's just gonna blow you away." And I was like, "What the heck?"
That's when I called
who could he have been talking to about this? Like, what? I'm not easily amused by any means, but what could this be? Yeah. And so you were talking with the parks coordinator.
Yeah, I called the Ankeny Parks coordinator and asked him about the city ponds and stuff around here, and he just dropped some major knowledge because he'd been working there for 25 some years on these fisheries here, working with the DNR and Iowa State and whatever wild projects that they have going on here in Ankeny on these ponds.
To this point, I mean, I was thinking of these local ponds as like just crappie holes.
Yeah.
I mean, we were catching real nice fish, a good quantity of fish. There's lakes you can go to, ponds you can go to just for action, and there's ponds you can go to catch some real nice, actually keeper size fish, real good ones. And on that episode, Brett's like, "Yep, you're not going to believe it. The city's never stocked any crappies in any of these lakes. It's all just invasive."
Yeah. It's all been self-stocked.
So
people putting them in the ponds.
And we called it invasive crappies. So that was my favorite episode.
Invasive crappies.
It's just something where it's like, just takes your mindset like, "Oh yeah, crappies. That's a good sport fish. People stock whatever," and flips it upside down. And it's just blows you away.
Yeah. I mean, people are legit coming here to fish for crappies. And then at the same time, the DNR are like, "Get all of them out of here."
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We're trying to do, they set up some of these ponds because they're just dug out. They're brand new to like do little little studies with Iowa State or whatever, different combinations and ratios of stocking and stuff just to see what's best and how that works out. But then they get overran with crappies or shad, and then they kind of go downhill. Yeah. Well, they'll go way uphill for a little bit with the shad and then they'll crash.
Yeah.
But
shad are a real problem in some of those areas.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I don't know what shad is that like a minnow kind of thing?
Like a gizzard shad. It is a forage like a minnow, but it's got a much wider profile.
Yeah.
Okay.
They can actually get pretty big too. I mean, there's 20 plus inch gizzard shad.
Yeah, they're big.
Wow.
Running around, and they they'll bite on plankton and not anything else.
Yeah, they don't eat weird stuff.
Can't catch them with a jig.
Wow.
That's sometimes the frustration when you see big fish come through your flash and you're like, "They will not do anything." And then it's probably shad.
Yeah.
Sounds like my February. They won't catch it. They won't bite at anything. We just stared at the fish.
Exactly.
Yep, they were shad. Yep, you're fine. They were shad. You did your best.
No, he did. He should have moved.
Should have moved. We did move a little bit. Yeah. Cool.
What's your episode, Brett?
I think a recent one that we did with that Brady Bach. I think that dude. He's just a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
He's like 22 years old. Yep. And that guy, he's only been fishing for like 6 years, but he went all in. Like once he started fishing, he's gone way overboard, and he's just a wealth of knowledge on what's going on. He fishes a lot of NAIFC tournaments.
Okay. Wow.
guides a little bit here on Clear Lake for a company up there, and then also goes to school at UNI. And that dude, yeah, he's got him dialed in. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
He was so the biggest tip that he gave, and I'm not afraid to repeat it because he gave it on our podcast, was he's catching crappies without any bait on his spoons. He's running a jointed pinhead minnow and just jigging it and catching crappies with no bait. No plastic, nothing.
Wow.
And I was like, gosh, dang it.
Those jointed pinhead minnows are pretty hot baits right now.
Yep. Yeah, it's something new.
Mm-hmm.
Something new that fish haven't seen, or different action or whatever. But
Yep. He said what the learning curve that he had with that was he wasn't jigging it hard enough.
Oh, wow.
No matter what. He wasn't jigging it fast enough without it.
Yeah, that's cool. And it was cool to interview. It's cool. You guys do it all the time, but we don't interview as many guests, I guess, as you guys do. And when we do, it's like, oh man, we need to do this more.
Yeah.
Because that's really where you get the, even like talking with you guys, just getting the tips and tricks and going back and forth.
The real value is the after podcast conversations.
We don't talk about those, right? Yeah.
We had Tyler Stubbs. He's the urban fisheries biologist here. Was that over Christmas?
Yeah.
That was an after podcast conversation. That was primo.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you guys fish this pond? We catch, we've because they don't publish what they're catching out of some of these ponds and stuff. And you're like, oh, we're catching monsters out of there. You guys got to go fish these ponds here and that. And I was like, sweet.
Yeah, that's fun.
That's one of the things, especially we've actually had a lot of guests this year, and we've always had some guests, but we've had a lot more guests this year, which is great. I really
it's a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And for every one you have, you kind of, one will fizzle out. Like you'll spend all this time trying to get them on. And then I think what we found is it's, it's just a certain personality that'll commit and talk with you. And sometimes it's just really difficult to get them to commit and to work and our time frames are tough because we do that when we're recording now, it's like 9:00 at night. And I think some of your professionals, they work at more as an 8 to 4:30 kind of job. And so you get kind of a different level of person, but we've had some nice people this year.
Great people.
Yep.
And I almost feel like we're building this community now. I mean, we get people from New York and Wyoming and Utah. And I mean, like all over the place, and that's pretty cool. So
speaking of New York, did you guys catch that article out of the Wall Street Journal?
Yes. Yeah. We were
both the hard water. Yeah.
You know what my only disappointment was in that article is they listed you guys first. Like, you gotta be kidding me. They're the new guys.
I messaged that Jason, the author, and he said his son would be more than happy to come on a podcast one day.
Oh, wow. Cool.
That'd be awesome.
We've never had anybody tell us really no, they won't be on our podcast, but we have some people that, like you said, that
they just kind of blow you off.
Yeah, it doesn't work out
because they kind of fizzle out.
Yeah, they get busy. I have good intentions, but when you're some of those people, they're pretty busy, I think. So cool. So advice for future self next season. Like, what do you guys see coming up for the Short Rod Show next year?
Oh man, Brett, you go first.
I thought about this,
so I can think about it.
I think what I'm really going to shoot for next year is to target bigger fish.
Okay.
Not be afraid to go skunked a little bit more often, but I don't think Ben's going to like doing that. But
I get bored easy.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm ready to move anytime. Like, didn't see a fish for 2 minutes. All right. Let's try this other spot.
Really try to target bigger fish next year, I think. Yeah. Right now we're just this past season's just been finding the fish, moving a ton until you kind of find the pattern that you're looking for. And I think we've been very successful at that.
Oh yeah, it's been a good season, definitely. I think for me, I want to get out and fish different types of water, and maybe widen our scope to travel a little more. I mean, this year is tough with our family stuff going on and all.
Well, it isn't going to be any better next year. I'll tell you that. I got another baby on the way.
Hopes for next year.
Well, congratulations. That's still good though.
Thank you.
Yeah. So it'll be fun, but like getting out on more river bites, fishing out on the Mississippi some more. Is something that I've wanted to do for a while, and it's hard to do that and commit and find the right time frame, and ice conditions are so variable.
Yep.
We just need to go further up.
So
further north.
Yep.
Yeah, I was listening to your guys' most recent podcast on the Boundary Waters.
Yep.
Earlier today. Man, that got me. I had to even look up how far away it would be to drive there to go check it out.
Yeah.
That sounded like a sweet trip.
If you ever decide to do something like that, let me know. I got some intel for you.
Ooh, all right. See, this is the deal here with the podcast.
And I'll tell
After
you,
the show.
yeah, it's that winter trip up there that's been years in the making to try to put that trip together
Nice.
and yeah.
Yeah, it takes a lot of advanced planning to make it work. You know,
Mhm.
and that's the thing that we'll be talking about over the summer is, all right, let's pick a date and let's put something on the calendar to go, do some
I will
cool
say
trips.
that trip, Jason represented the show well on that trip. I was at home.
That's
Actually,
not Jeff's cup of tea.
actually, I was in my wheelhouse. I think we watched about 8 movies that weekend. So, so yeah,
Nice.
cool. All right. Did we hear from? We heard from Brett. I think Ben. Did you?
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah, Ben.
yeah. No, I talked a little bit about it,
Okay.
but I can elaborate on that too because now I thought of some more stuff. But
Oh, sweet.
Brett and I always joke around like we always try and practice what we preach. Whatever
We're not
talking
joking around.
about-
I'm serious about that.
whatever we talk about on the show, is stuff that we've had firsthand knowledge with, experience with, whatever that we do. And then we look at our bag for our Zoom, our podcast equipment,
Oh,
totally disorganized. And that's all we preach. is
It's a
like,
knot of cords.
keep all your stuff in the spot where it's going to be and protect it, keep your tackle organized, all that stuff so you can find it easily. And then our cords and all of our stuff is just all over. So this next year we're going to up our podcasting game on organizing and doing that a little bit better.
The mobile
Yeah.
mobile setup rather than mounting it from. So this past time we were on the ice, we had a box of beer on the ice,
Sweet.
and then we had a bucket. My bucket that I carry all my schoolies in, tipped upside down with our recorder on that, just so it would get high enough that we wouldn't pick up all of our pants noise and shuffling around and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Luckily, it never fell over.
Yeah, we don't want that going down the hole. It'll be bad.
No.
Be a short podcast.
We've only podcasted once on the ice. And that was at Jeff's shack. So I don't know if that counts.
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely
that
does.
counts. You're on hard water.
Yeah, we recorded their interview with my dad.
That's right. Your dad. Yep. You're
Mhm.
totally right. Yeah.
That was the sock episode.
Yeah. I think we definitely, yes. Well, I hear about the socks all the time. Yeah. I think we need to do more of the on location stuff, Jay.
It's a lot of fun,
yeah.
Mhm.
but man, I get distracted when we're doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I feel like all I'm talking about is bite it.
Dang it. There it is. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, what was I talking about?
Yeah.
That
Yep.
sort of deal.
And then more editing. And then, yeah.
Yep.
I would just let it ride. You can listen to it if you want or not.
Yeah, and I mean, I like podcasting, but I like fishing more.
Yeah.
Right? So if it cuts into the fishing time, then I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. It's a hard balance.
So one of the things, we've morphed this a little bit over the show, but when we started the show, I mean, we used to talk about this. We named the show in the car back and forth to work. I mean, Jason and I used to talk. I don't know. I think most of our big decisions on this show has happened in a conversation in the car, wirelessly, of course, back and forth.
Hands-free in accordance with local laws and ordinances.
Yes, exactly. Jason thinks I'm a crazy driver, but I don't even go to the office anymore, so I don't know. But one of the things, we came up with the, ice fishing legends, and that's something that's morphed a little bit. We told a lot of stories early on. We've been fishing for a long time. I mean, Jason and I were college roommates and really have been ice fishing together for a couple decades at this point. But, we put the legends in here. So we were hoping that, you guys could both maybe talk about maybe a legend, which is usually just some kind of story that's kind of crazy, that's happened to you while you're ice fishing. So
Yeah, Ben, go for
I
it.
So this I have a really good one, and if you guys have listened to our podcast, you might have heard some bits of it before. But this happened back in my earlier kind of times of ice fishing, where I thought, man, this is just going to be easy. I'm just going to go out, have a great time, catch a bunch of fish. the cheap gear that I bought on Craigslist will work fine. We'll make it.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, probably now. But a buddy of ours, Brandon, and his dad and his brother went up, and we were fishing kind of around the Brainerd Lakes area. And that just love it up there.
Yep.
Thought it'd be so cool to go up and ice fish it. Well, middle of January, it gets pretty darn cold. And there's lots of snow. Didn't have any machine. We were the first time we were out there just pulling our stuff out by hand. But yeah, so we were up there, and actually, yeah, we about froze to death is kind of the gist of the story, but we didn't have enough backup stuff. So when you think about it, the legend, I guess, to that would be that propane gets really dang cold in the cold, and to the point where it can freeze and not flow into a heater or your stove or anything like that. And Brandon's dad actually saved the day. We were just getting ready to pack up and say the heck with this. We didn't catch any fish. We were just frustrated. And he's like, yeah, I might be able to thaw that heater out. And it was one of the little sunflower type heaters.
Sure. Yep.
So he took that thing and he lifted up his coat and pressed it right against his belly and just thawed that thing right against it.
That's tough, man. Yeah. That's tough.
So now he smells like propane and is, water dripping down, and it got it to flow though. We got the propane going, got the heat going. We started to thaw out and our spirits were lifted. That's all it took. Have a little heat and we were fine. We still didn't catch any fish, but we didn't freeze to death.
Once again, Iowa folks heading north, getting in trouble.
Way out of our league.
So I can't imagine, like, I've seen those, like if it was a 1 pounder, I'm assuming this is a 1 pounder.
Yeah.
Maybe. And so when they, as they let the propane out, they get pretty cold already, right? Yeah. It gets those ice crystals. I mean, I've touched them with my hands before, and so man, to stick it on your belly, that you can get a tattoo that's like Coleman or something.
He took one for the team, that's for sure.
Whew.
Yep, wow. Real man there.
So I guess my story, I've got a Brushy Creek story, I think is what mine will be.
All right.
So it's a couple years back. It was Ben, myself, and my little brother went fishing on Brushy. And this was, I think it might have been like one of my first times ever ice fishing up there.
Yeah.
And we were heading up. We're like, oh man, we're going to get up there real early. We're going to get on the walleye bite and we're just going to hammer them. So we got up. It was just me and my brother. We were meeting Ben. And at that time he had some old, what was your orange Chevy? What was that?
Yeah, it was an 83 K10 pickup.
Yeah. That thing was a real beast on the
had
ice.
Hardly any heat. Yeah. And I drove that thing all the way from
Cedar Falls
out to Brushy Creek. So hour and a half.
But so my brother and I were heading up there like, oh, we got to stop by and get minnows. And this was prior to me knowing that Duncombe Gas and Grocery existed, which is a town just north of Brushy. Mm-hmm. So I just hopped on my phone and I'm like, oh, I'll just look up. We'll rely on Google to tell me where to go. So it takes me into Webster City, and it says, hey, there's a bait shop here that says sells minnows. So I'm like, oh, okay. Well, it didn't have a name for the bait shop. It just said this place sells minnows. So I pull up in there and I pull up into this trailer park, and I get out, and I'm like, all right, well, this is what the internet said. And it said bait in the back, and there was a sign pointing right on their front door. So I went onto their side door and knocked on the door, and nothing happens. And I kind of looking around, and there's a camera pointing at me to my left. There's a camera pointing at me to my right.
Gosh.
I knock on the door again, and this lady opens the door in her bathrobe, and she's like, what do you want? And I'm like, do you sell minnows here? And she's like, yeah, meet me around by the garage. So I go over there to the garage, and they have an aquarium there with minnows. And I don't have nothing. Yeah, like a pet aquarium. Yeah. It might have been a 20-gallon, or I don't know. I don't know the real size, but it looked like a normal one. And I'm like, oh, sweet. I'll take 2 scoops, please. And she's like, okay, well, what do you want to put them in? And I'm like, well, I don't know. You're the bait shop. Usually they give you a bag and they put them in there. And I'm like, shoot, I don't know. Let me go check out my truck and see what I got in there. So my brother and I are raffling through my pickup, and I find a protein shaker bottle in there. And I'm like, well, this will work, I guess. Lo Well, luckily that day wasn't real cold, so I take the top off. I'm like, well, put 2 scoops in here, please. So obviously there wasn't a whole lot of water in there. But yeah, I don't know how the heck that lady got on Google as a bait shop. But so we book it out of there, meet up with Ben.
Yeah.
And I actually end up catching a muskie on one of those minnows.
Wow.
Nice.
He was only about 12 inches long. But so what I was doing was I hooked that minnow and I dropped him in the water just underneath the ice.
Oh.
And I was like, and I was baiting up another lure. And these are on my schoolies,
Yep.
mind you.
Wow.
And I look over as I start baiting up another one, and my indicator starts bobbing. And I'm like, geez, that's a lively little minnow over there. And I look down the hole and I see a shape dart across the hole. So, I mean, my minnow couldn't have been more than 3 inches under the ice.
Wow.
And then I hook into it, and we were fishing around a pile of people. And I hook into it. I'm like, muskie, muskie, muskie.
Oh my gosh.
And all these people come running over.
Oh my gosh.
Yep, that was the big.
And I pull this,
to-do on Brushy that day.
little tiny thing out, and they're like, what the hell? Just leaves.
Wow.
Yeah, so moral of the story is don't trust Google for everything.
Oh, we've learned that one over the years.
Awesome. Those are good.
That's
Park bait
awesome.
shop.
I think that bait shop's still there.
Which one, the trailer park one?
Yeah. I think.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Bait shop.
Well, because I think we fished. I think we actually fished Brushy the same day this year, and so when I ran over there, I was looking. I knew Duncombe had a bait shop, but I just put bait shop into my phone, and it pointed to one in Webster City, and now I know this isn't the right one. So
Yeah.
glad I didn't end up in the.
Next time you
park.
should try that one.
Yeah. That's
No,
good.
that's a hard. I'll take a pass on that. The other one-
When I saw the camera stared at me, that's when I knew something was up. I was like,
That's
something's
weird.
wonky going on here.
Oh my
that's
gosh.
awesome. That's a great story. Thanks for sharing that, guys.
Well, cool.
Well, I think that's all we have for questions, isn't it, Jeff?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure we could keep on going, but yeah.
Do you guys have any questions for us that you want to know?
I'll let Ben
Well,
go.
I wanted to know the story of how you guys got hooked up and fishing together. So you said that was quite a while ago, but how did that come to be? And how have you cultivated it this long to stay fishing buddies and now just all in on a podcast together?
Yeah, I really like the history of how these things come together.
So,
Yeah,
Jason,
so-
you're going to give a year? I mean,
Yeah, so it was circa 1993. What were you guys doing in
Yes.
93?
I was
man.
3 years old.
Yeah,
Oh,
preschool, man.
killing me.
the
We
year
were
was
born at least.
1993.
So circa 1993, Jeff and I both attended St. Cloud State in Minnesota. And I grew up in Western Iowa. And so it was random roommate draw. And we ended up being roommates freshman year, became friends, ended up being roommates again sophomore year. And then I ended up
Still
coming back-
friends after 2 years.
Still friends,
so.
believe it or not, after 2 years and the many, many adventures. But we didn't fish at all together in college. It really wasn't a thing. I think I did a little on the Mississippi. Retrospectively, we really missed an opportunity. Our dorm overlooked essentially the Mississippi River in St. Cloud.
Ooh.
And
Yeah.
Mitchell did too. The other
Yeah.
one, both of them did.
Hmm.
And then I
So
don't
Jason,
know.
tell them what we actually weren't supposed to be roommates.
No,
We got switched. And what was your roommate's name?
Luke Skywalker was supposed to be my roommate.
Oh, that's his real name.
That was the dude's name. And
Oh my God.
so then I get Jeff. Yeah.
Well, this guy's
You
going to be
know.
boring.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember my guy's name, but it was not Luke
Yeah. It
Skywalker.
was not Luke. Yeah, it was supposed to. I could think how my life would have changed. I mean, fighting
Could have been Darth.
I know. I mean, incredibly different. But and then I think it kind of progressed. I ended up going back to Iowa. Jeff ended up finishing out school up there. I ended up coming back to Iowa, getting married, finishing school here. And then we started, I know randomly we did an ice fishing trip together with old college buddies.
Yep.
And what year was that, Jeff? Cassie was alive.
99
So
or 2000.
99, Cassie was 2 because my
1999.
brother, I left her with my brother who didn't have kids. And that was a terrible idea. I just figured he was my older brother. What could go wrong? A lot went wrong. She learned how to get out of her pack and play that weekend.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Had never done that before. So that was neat. Won't tell those-
Oh, man.
I won't tell any more stories about that. But we went fishing on Mille Lacs. No, it wasn't Mille Lacs. What was the name of that? Where's the first
Waconia.
hard water? What was it?
Waconia.
Waconia. And so we just did this random ice fishing trip for a weekend, and then we did it then again the next year, and then the next year, and then it became a thing. And that became the Hardwater Invitational is what we called it.
Ooh,
at some
nice.
point.
Yeah.
And it became the glue, I think, that's kept us all together over now. How many years? It's been 24 years.
Well, 21, I think, this year.
21 years. No.
99.
21 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
So 21 years this year.
Yeah.
That we've been doing this trip every single year. And that event, through people getting married and kids and everything became the glue that held this, me being in Iowa, them being in Minnesota, another guy being way up in Park Rapids. That's kept us all just connected. I mean, there was a lot of years that we didn't even really get together other than that once a year.
And we ice fished once a year. That was
once
it.
A year.
Yeah.
Together because life's busy, and kids and wives and jobs, and you don't have a lot of vacation time when you're new in your career and all those things. So, and now here we are, kids are all getting older. Well, mine are. You still got some younger ones, Jeff, but
Yeah.
Man, I love that. Yeah, Ben and I both get together with some college buddies.
Yep.
How many years have we been doing that fall trip? We head up to the Longville area.
Probably,
Okay.
8 years.
I don't know. It's probably usually some come and go. Some years it's not always the same folks, but I don't know. Probably at least 10 of us get up there.
Yep.
Sweet.
Every fall.
So how do you two guys know each other then?
Through mutual buddies.
Yep.
Actually through the same folks that we all go on that fall trip with. I didn't know Ben until then, and then we started fishing that, and then we were over there talking about ice fishing.
Yep.
While all these other guys were trying to catch a muskie unsuccessfully. It went a lot of years those guys tried to catch a muskie and never caught one. Finally, they figured it out. But we're over there jonesing about ice fishing. We're like, hey, it's getting pretty cold. Maybe it'll be ice fishing season pretty soon.
Yeah, and I showed Brett how we do it up in Northeast Iowa.
Yep.
With some more serious gear.
Mississippi type stuff.
Yep. And then Brett showed me, he's still running the schoolies and
still running the schoolie and the hand auger when we first. And I didn't have a flasher. I'd never. I'm probably only 5 years in on any sort of electronics.
Yeah. Yep.
And then you go right to like the granddaddy of all electronics.
Well, what it is I just figured I'd been saving my money for that many years that I just will do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Brett was the old 3 cranks off the bottom guy.
Well, we got the schoolie instructions right here for you from that 40-incher. It says right in there, 2 complete reels around, and you're about 12 inches off bottom. Start jigging for a few seconds, and then the fish will bite.
There you go.
Nice.
What
It
else
says
do you
right
need?
on there.
Easy as that.
So you don't really need that fancy electronics. I mean, if you want to send it our way, we'll give you a review on it.
Yeah, I'll let you know. They're on sale.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them on the used market right now. Guys are selling it to fund their summer excursions. So.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a thing. I saw people doing that. I'm done with this. I'm going to sell it.
I think I might have a stimulus check coming here. Maybe I can eke one out.
There you go.
Summer fishing time now soon here, Jay.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you have to spend it on crankbaits.
Yeah.
Yep, the newest, latest, and greatest.
You got any other questions for
Oh,
Ben?
no, that was my main.
Oh.
That was my main.
Sweet.
question.
I guess I
Just
did
the
have one
history
quick
of it.
question on, I guess what spurred you guys to do a podcast? Because this is a little bit of work, like you said. You do definitely, it's nice to have a break because you do get a little bit burnt out, and family kind of comes into things, and like you said, you get busy. What kind of spurred that along and keeps you going still?
So I don't know. For me,
why do we do this? Maybe we should be done.
Yeah. Hey.
No.
No, there's a season. There's a season 5 coming next year, Jason.
Maybe I'm done. I don't know. I don't answer. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
So, I mean, this really started, I'm sure, from our hardwater trips that we've talked about. And, we talked about doing it. And I don't spend any much time in the car really anymore. I used to commute back and forth to work before COVID hit. But one of my other hobbies is cars, and so I would listen to this podcast that I really enjoyed because, eventually you've heard all the music and all that kind of stuff. And it's nice to listen to podcasts in the car. And so I would listen to this. It's called Everyday Driver. These 2 guys, super big podcast. They have, billions of downloads and, they've got sponsors and all this stuff. But I really enjoyed it. And I'm like, I would love to listen to an ice fishing podcast. And so then I went and looked, and I didn't really find one that there was a couple of them out there, but nothing that really connected with me. And I'm like, well, maybe we should start a podcast. And we talked about it for like a year at least. And I think it was getting towards the fall. And I'm like, Jason, it's time to just try it. And I mean, I had no clue what to do, but we figured it out. And I even mentioned this because this is our 50th episode, but our first episode, like, I'm sure we need to go back and listen to it. I haven't listened to it for a while. I'm sure it's kind of bumpy, I'm sure it is. Like, I remember, and this won't get too podcasty, but we went, we use Audacity to edit most of our podcasts because it's free and it works really great. And now I know all the shortcut keys and it's super easy. But I remember we recorded it and I'm like, oh, now I just upload it to iTunes. And I'm like, oh, there's no way to upload this to iTunes. I'm like, how does this work? How does this work? And then I realized that iTunes is just like a search engine. It's just like a list of podcasts. You have to so the learning curve was actually quite a bit. I think we recorded our first episode. I don't think I published it for 6 weeks because it took so long for me to kind of figure out how it works. And really, so that's really where it came from. And I was happy you guys use Podbean too. That really saved my butt because that is so nice and easy.
It's
and they don't pay me anything to say that, but I mean, they make it very easy for us to do this. So
I'd agree 100%.
I'm not in love with our website, but it works pretty good and it's easy. So yeah.
Yeah. Prior to to you hit record, you asked us about our little commercial or whatever that we have. The only reason we have that commercial is because that guy is Ben's buddy.
Yep.
And he did all of that. The stuff that you had that learning curve for, he did that. He just did that stuff for us.
He just knocked it out of
we
the park.
met him at a Hy-Vee in Marshalltown. And we used Hy-Vee internet. And we just sat down and had a donut and a coffee and gave him our credit card. And he just did it.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then we were
saved you a lot of hours, huh, Jeff?
Then we were just like, we got to put this guy's company in our commercial. So he's just in there forever now.
Oh, that's awesome. And I, I'm and I don't talk about work ever, so I won't talk about work, but, I write software. I'm a, that's kind of my
He's a computer geek.
I'm a computer geek.
And who taught you how to use a computer?
Yeah, I work for a tech company too.
I did. I taught this guy how to use a computer. He didn't know how to use one.
But even for me, it took me a little bit to kind of figure out how to make it work. And part of it was how to make it work without me spending, hundreds of hours to do it. Right. Like, I mean, I could create my own website, but I want to create a podcast. I don't want to create a website. So it was cool.
That was actually one. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to mention that was probably actually one of our really popular podcasts. Last year, we ended the season with just talking about podcasting stuff.
Oh,
like equipment we use, how we got started, running Podbean, hosting, website, that whole stuff.
Yeah. Because I mean, there's YouTube videos out there for it, but they're all made from people that are making money off of podcasting.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I don't know. Should we use that stuff? Because
do I want to spend $5,000 on a mic?
No.
Yeah.
Does it need to be gold?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
It's interesting. I've listened to a number of podcasts, and you guys have really great sound quality, and I think ours is pretty good too. And and we're all using pretty basic stuff. We use like a Yeti microphone. Free software. I think that's probably one of the bigger challenges when you first start is, how to get into the stuff that doesn't cost you, because you'd rather spend your money on ice fishing, not on podcasting equipment. And
exactly. Don't just rely on the computer microphone though.
No,
100% cared. I mean, we're running $34 microphones, and we did spend some money on our mixer deal, but otherwise, pretty low budget.
Yeah, it's been good until the money starts rolling in. That'll have to be.
Let us know if you figure that part out. Let us know.
Yeah, we don't want to be really sponsored by an ice fishing company. I guess we've talked about that a little bit, but like you said, getting tied in and saying, "Hey, we have to use this type of auger or rod or whatever."
I don't want to be afraid to say something sucks.
Yep. Tell people about our story and what we think about things. And
so I think for us along those same lines this is a hobby. It's something we enjoy.
Yep.
Right. And we use this as a metric all the time. And we each will come up with like a bright idea to monotonize what we're doing. But then it comes down to, then it's work.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And this isn't work. This is fun. Passing on the joy of fishing, telling stories and talking about it, talking about the love of ice fishing is joyful. It's not work. We both got plenty of work in our normal lives. So, I don't want to turn my hobby into work.
Yep.
Although I want to share it,
I have found myself like, what's happening? So we publish a podcast episode once a week.
Mm-hmm.
Like I need to come up with a takeaway during that week of me fishing though, for me to talk about on the podcast. Yep. So, I mean, I think inadvertently it has made me a better fisherman because I think about it more.
Absolutely.
I'm not just going, we'll go back to our old spot and we'll go fish this.
Yep. Or we don't need to fish this week because, not much is happening on fishing reports.
Or even, I'll go to my same old spot, but I'll be like, I'll try to at least come up with a reason why those fish are there. What am I catching them on? Why that's going on? So it has inadvertently made us better, I think.
Plus just like getting the scuttlebutt on the internet, on the forums, on Facebook, on all the Facebook groups, like trying to figure out, what's everybody talking about this week? There's a big controversy on a local lake on Big Creek, on Facebook that blew up that we got into. That was pretty interesting.
Oh boy.
So.
The dangers of YouTube and giving away spots. Well, it wasn't us. It wasn't us, but it was kind of funny.
Yeah. So, I mean, stuff like that is cool. Like Brett said, keeps you involved in pursuing your hobby and making it fun for everybody that listens. Sure. And I still don't know what people out in Utah and Maine and all these people that listen to us, think about guys, from Minnesota and Iowa talking about our style of ice fishing, but it's just cool that they dig that stuff too. It's a lot different, but they still listen. So
it's interesting. You guys hit on a couple things that I would agree with completely. The podcast has made me think a lot more about why am I doing what I'm doing. Yep. So when I'm switching to a bait, why? When I'm fishing in this spot, why? When I'm not moving, why? And all those things. And then just doing the research for the show, you dig into all these different issues a little bit more so you can try to have something somewhat coherent to share with people. And I always think it's kind of like our job to try to filter the real from the BS, right? We're in this wonderful time where you can access gobs of information on anything, but half the time it's crap. Yep. And so what I want is our show not, if we say, sometimes we blather on. I do that all the time. God knows Jeff does. But
oh, it hurts. It hurts.
When we give facts, we want to try to give the right facts and that we've at least tried it and so on. I don't know where I was going with all of this, but
that's okay.
It sounded good.
Yeah. Well,
sounded good.
Ice fish, it's this universal medium about being outside and feeling that tug on the end of the line and people from all over that have experienced that, they can relate. It makes it relatable. That's super cool.
It's been very interesting hearing from folks. I find it particularly interesting when we hear from folks that fish high mountain country type stuff. Just the differences in what they do. Like Ben mentioned, we had a guy from Utah, and I've brought him up a couple times just because I think it's amazing that this guy's listening to our podcast. He drives FedEx truck, and he fishes these high mountain lakes in Utah for trout.
Yep.
And I'm like, what could we possibly be talking about that is applicable to anything that you were doing?
Yep.
But yeah, he still listens to it and loves it and really enjoy it.
I remember one for me that really struck me is, Jeff, do you remember we on Podbean, you can see where your downloads are from. And we had a download from Korea.
North Korea.
South Korea. South Korea, not North Korea. And we're like, what in the heck? And it was a regular download, and we put it on the podcast, and we got an email from the guy. Remember this?
Ooh,
yeah. And it was a kid from Minnesota, if I remember right. Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong.
I think it was,
a fellow from Minnesota, and he was stationed in South Korea. And he sent us some pictures of some trout he had caught in South Korea in the mountain area. And love the fact that, listening to the podcast was part of being, that home. It just connected him. And that was awesome. Like one of the coolest things I can remember from our show that we were able to give this guy that connectedness, it was just cool.
Yeah. And that's something, I mean, there's no way that you'd have ever had that opportunity without
No,
putting a podcast out there like that.
for sure.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Cool. Well, we should probably, I feel like we could probably talk for a long time, but I suppose we should probably wrap this up. I foresee another crossover episode in our future someday, but
we got to go fishing together. I mean,
oh yeah,
so we were on Brushy probably the same time this year, and we just need to connect sometime. My kid goes to Iowa State. And so I get, like I said, we get back to Western Iowa quite a bit, but sometime we just need to.
Where are you from in Western Iowa?
I grew up outside of Carroll.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
A little town called Helber.
Helber, yeah.
Went to Carroll Kemper.
Yeah.
My wife's from over that way. The only reason I'm originally I was born in Minnesota, and the only reason my wife married me out there is because I wasn't genetically related to her.
Hey, there you go.
Kind of like the Irish.
That's a good deal there.
Everybody else in the county she's related to. That's how Iowa works. So they always look for new genetics.
No, there's a big time bluegill lake over in that direction. Over by Denison, I think.
Oh, Yellow Smoke?
Yeah, Yellow Smoke. Yeah.
Yep, that comes and goes.
Yeah.
Comes and goes.
Depends on how popular it is or what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Water quality and lake level and stuff. But yes, when it's on fire, it's on fire. We have quite a good luck in Lake View up there at Black Hawk.
Yeah, sure. That's where we tried to do our muskie episode, but we didn't have any luck catching a muskie up there. I caught a little crappie and I put it down there and no go.
No luck. Good try.
We got a lot of flack for that episode because we didn't actually catch. I named it Tip Up Muskie, but we never caught one.
Oh, yeah,
folks weren't very happy about that.
We were honest about it. We didn't pretend.
Muskies are hard.
Yeah, and that's when we broke the drill.
Yep.
Oh,
and
well, that was the best episode.
You want to make the muskie guys mad? Fry one up and eat it.
Wow, that'll be the next thing we do. Yep. I've come to find out is do as much controversial. If you want to get internet famous, you do as many controversial things as you possibly can do.
Yeah.
We talked about eating a muskie a couple episodes ago. In jest mostly because I've never actually caught a muskie through the ice,
Iowa, you only have to have a 40-incher or something like that to keep, I think.
Yeah, 40.
They make a lot of sandwiches, and it's Lent for crying out loud.
Yeah, there you go. Pickle a few of them.
All right. Well,
Good muskie.
Yeah, I like muskies. I've never caught one through the ice though. Cool. Alrighty. Well, thanks again. I think this was an awesome episode, and we will catch up again.
That was awesome. Yep.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
All right. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Yep. Have a good night.
Take care. Bye.